Welcome to all of you. Today, actually, we are supposed to discuss about the new topic which is added to the BL7 syllabus. Right? I think you may well aware due to the tax changes, ESC as well as NBT was abolished. Right? With that concern, the institute add some few new areas. Right? Today we are going to discuss on that area, just we call as other taxes. On this point mainly we supposed to cover few main areas. First one is excise duty, right? First one is the excise duty. Second one is related with the share transaction levy, right? STL. Third one is a tourist development levy, right? TDL. Those are the areas newly added to the syllabus, right? Then from our discussions mainly focused the theoretical part and some example which is given on the your study guide, right? Firstly, we try to get to understand the syllabus content and what is the weightage which is allocated for this, right? Then it is take under the F other taxes applicable to the business. 10% weightage allocated. 10% weightage allocated. There are three knowledge component, right? One is excise duty, other one is for the share trading levy, then third one for the tourist development levy, right? If you concern about the outcome of this learning outcome under the excise duty, right? Then focus to explain ability to of excise duty and small and medium size business and registration point of view. The second one concern about the list of few non-taxable activities. Then third one mainly concerned about the computation of tax liability, straightforward and non-complex scenarios including the value, power to estimate the sales prices, then value for imports and input tax credit. Those are the area supposed to discuss within the computation point of view. Right. Last one under excise duty concern about the explanation the payment of the excise duty. Those are the learning outcome with the first component. The second one related with the share trading levy. Explain ability to of share trading act levy and imposition of taxes, imposition of levy. Then second one is explain about the collections and the payment of levy, right? Third one explain the furnishing of return. This is related with the share transaction levy. And last one it is concerned about the recovery process of the levy, right? Those are the learning outcome under the second component, right? Third one related with the tourist development levy, right? Then under this we supposed to discuss explain the ability of the tourist development levy and imposition of levy, applicability of tourist development levy and imposition of levy, right? Then second one explained about period of levy should be paid, right? Third one regarding the computation of tax liability, right? Non-complex scenario based on the non-complex scenario, right? Last one focus to explain about the method of payment of levy, right? Those are the component of knowledge and the learning outcome, right? Within this new area, right? By referring with the materials what is given by the institute and referring with this video, right? You can get the exact and comprehensive idea how it is applied and what are the areas you have to get aware about the tax related with the other taxes, right? මම දැන් පැහැදිලි අපේ අලුත් සිලබස් ඒරියා එක අලුතෙන් ඇඩ් කරපු 10% වෙරේජ් එකකට අදාළව මේ සිලබස් ඒරියා එක තුල ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් කොටස් තුනක් ඇඩ් වෙනවා. excise duty එක ඇඩ් වෙනවා, share transfer levy එක ඇඩ් වෙනවා සහ tourist development levy එක ඇඩ් වෙනවා. ඒතර මේ ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් ඒ තියෙන component එකට අදාළව තමයි අපි discussion එක අපි අද දවසේ කරන්නේ, right? Firstly we discuss about the excise duty, right? As we mentioned earlier, right, mainly it is chargeable under the Excise Duty Act, Special Provision Act, right. Then under this we discuss about the applicability of the excise duty and non-taxable activities, then how we decide the value, right, and what is the power of available for Director General of Excise, and how we decide the import value, right. Then how we calculate the excise duty, and how, what are the other tax administrative point of view, right. Then firstly, if you concern about the imposition of taxes, imposition of excise duty, right, then mainly it is focused for regarding the production or manufacturing in Sri Lanka or imposition into the Sri Lanka, right, whatever the excisable activities should be concerned, right. Mainly it is focused to impose based on the Excise Duty Special Provision Act number 13 of 1989, right. This is the main document, main legislation point which is related with this tax calculation, right. Excise duty is charged, levy and paid on every article manufactured or produced in Sri Lanka or import into the Sri Lanka at the rate specified by the minister, at the rate specified by the minister by order published in the Gazette notification. Time it may be changed, right. There is a power to minister, they can minister can change the tax rate, right, by issuing the Gazette notification, right. The rate and rate of the specified duty levy in respect of article will be determined reference to the class or description of the articles, right. On this provision of the law, right, it has provide the clear identification about the class or description of the asset, right. The time with power with the minister, right, by issuing the Gazette notifications, rate of the tax will be changed, rate of the tax will be changed, right. Then if you concern about the registration of the taxpayer, all the applicants application for registration should be made to Director of Excise. To whom it should be applied? Director of Excise with prescribed pre, right. There should be a pre should be paid to the Director General of Excise. Director of Excise shall issue to every person registered under the Excise Duty Act number 13 of 1989 as certificate of registration. There should be a certificate of registration in prescribed from and assign registration number to every such person, right. Then firstly, if any person manufactured produced the excisable articles, or if they import any excisable article here, right, what they have to do is they have to get registered from Director of Excise. For that purpose, then they should make applications to Director of Excise. If accept this application, then issue the certificate of registration and allocate the registration number, right. For any corresponding which is related with these activities, this registration number should be used, right. Unless the registration is obtained from the Director of Excise, no person shall engage in manufacturing, wholesale purchases, sale or storing of the goods for wholesale purpose or import the goods, right. Without getting the approval, without getting the registration, if any person is not possible to engage those activities, manufacturing, producing and storing and sale, wholesale purchases, purchase and sales, right, or importations, those are not allowed it. Then after expiry of the 2 months from the date on which article become is prescribed excisable article consequent to order made by the minister, right. If let's think by issuing the Gazette notification, then minister take some article as an excisable article. If it is based on this date, within 2 months, right, if any person engage with that activity, they should get registered. They should get registered. Right? Likewise, there is a specific provision is available how it get the registration. Right? මම හිතන්නේ පැහැදිලි number 13 of 1989 excise duty act එකේ පැහැදිලිව සඳහන් වෙලා තියෙනවා කොහොමද registration එක කරන්න කියලා. right? එන හැම කෙනෙක්ම manufacturing වෙන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් wholesale purchase and sale වෙන්න පුළුවන් imports වෙන්න පුළුවන් right? stock කරලා තියාගෙන ඉන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන් wholesale purchase වලට right? ඒ හැම වෙලාවෙදීම registration එකක් නැතුව ඒ දේ කරන්න පුළුවන් කමක් නැහැ. right? මොන හරි article එකක් excisable article එකක් විදිහට categorize කරපු ගමන් within 2 months time, right? If any person engage with that, they should get registered. They should get registered, right? Then we should have the good understanding what are the items is not considered for tax chargeability, right? Then normal call as a non-taxable activities for excise duty, right? Then having regards to economic development of the country, the minister may time to time prescribe the certain article exempt from the payment of excise duty, right? By considering about the economic development of the country, right? It may be gazetted time to time. To whom? By the minister of respective department, right? Such few articles exempt from excise duties are, right? Depend on the present applications, few items list down, right? It has included study materials as well. I will just run through with that, right? Then first one, a motor vehicle stock article import under various agreement and MOU entered into by the government of Sri Lanka with overseas organization and foreign government, right? On that point of view, even if it is a excisable activity, with that concern, it is taken under the exempt category, right? The second one, article of every descriptions import and clear from the custom bonded area for the official use of president or prime minister of the Sri Lanka, right? Article is prescribed import and clear from the custom bonded area, but normally it took under the excisable activity articles, but this is imported for what purpose? To official use of the president and prime minister of the Sri Lanka. On that basis, those articles can be taken under the exempt category. Third one, right? Most of you sometimes you may have the experience, right? Every article entitled to duty free clearance under the passenger baggage regulations made under section 107A of the custom ordinance, right? If you when you are arrival to the country, right, you can purchase some items from the duty free shops, right? Then those items you can bring to the country without paying the excise duty, right? Then fourth one, every article manufactured in Sri Lanka and supplied to any exporter in Sri Lanka, right? Where sufficient proof is furnished to satisfaction of the duty of excise that such manufactured articles were exported, right? Actually, this article is excisable article, right? They manufactured and directly supply to the direct exporter, right? If this article can be taken as a exempt article, but there should be some other connected process. What we have to do is, right, if it is taken under the exempt item, evidence should be provided to director of excise, those item is exported from the country, right? With that concern, those 4 items we can take as a non-taxable activities, right? එනං excise duty යටතේත් විශේෂිත අවස්ථාවලට අදාළව නිදහස් කරන ලද අයිතම තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, right ඒ නිදාස් කරන ලද item වලට අදාළ excise duty එක අය කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒතර ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් study guides වල සඳහන් වෙලා ප්‍රධාන කාරණා හතරක් යටතේ right vehicle import කරද්දී නැත්නම් article import කරද්දී various agreements MOUs වගේ දේවල් තියෙනවනේ ලංකාවේ government එකයි foreign missions foreign government එක ඒ වගේ අවස්ථාවලදී ඒක අපිට අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. එකම යම් articles import කරනවා නම් custom bonded areas වලින් ගන්නවා නම් official use වලට අදාළව president සහ prime minister ගේ official use වලට ඒකත් අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන් exempt කියලා. ඒකම country එකට arrive වෙද්දී custom duty free clearance එකක් විදියට baggage වල යම්සේ articles ගෙනවා නම් ඒවත් exempt විදියට ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට අමතරව export කරනවා නම් export කරන කෙනෙක්ට direct supply එකක් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් අන්න ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී ඒ වගේ articles සලකන්න පුළුවන් excise duty එකෙන් නිදහස් article විදියට. Right. Next subtopic remissions of the excise duty. Remissions means reductions, right? Then it is possible, but it within the authority it should be done, right? Minister may, who is has a remissions power, minister may by regulations made under the act provide the remissions of excise duty label on any excisable articles which are found to deficient on quality by reasons of any natural causes or otherwise, right? There should be a rationale. With that reason and rationale within the provisions and regulations available, the minister may remissions the excise duty, right? Then we have to get idea how value would be decided based on the excisable article. Some articles sometimes we have to decide value at the point of custom. Sometimes we have to decide value at the point of sale, local sale, and value at the point of move on place from manufacturing and productions, right? On those points then clearly provide the guidance how we decide the value, right? මෙතනදී ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් excise duty එකක් තීරණය කරන්න නම් ඒ තීරණය කිරීමට අදාළව වටිනාකමක් හඳුනා ගන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් වටිනාකම හඳුනා ගැනීම කියන එක ඕනෑ වෙලාවකදී ටැක්ස් එකක් අය කරන්න යද්දී තාමත් වැදගත් සාධකයක් වෙනවා. right? right. Excise duty is levy on excisable article other than the import based on its value. Based on its value, the value for such good would be, right? Then other than the importation have different applications, right? Then other than the importations, then based on the provided guidelines we should decide the value, right? How we decide it? Normal sale price at which the excisable article is sold. How we decide? Based on the sale price, right? Normally we can decide it at the point of sold. At the time such articles are moved from the place of manufacture. On which time, right? It would be the sold, right? Mainly it is decided when they move this article from the manufactured place. And in the course of wholesale trading, where the buyer is not related person, right? Then just sell it out for the related party, it may not be decide the price on arm's length, right? It may not be decided price like open market value, right? Then it is provide the guidance how it is decided, right? Then sale price should be decided at the point of move from the place from manufacturing, right? For regarding the wholesale trading, right, where buyer is not a retail person, related person, then we should decide the price, right? And nearest ascertainable sales price when normal price is not ascertainable, as good are not sold or for another reason, right? If it is not ascertainable, then whatever the possible nearest ascertainable value should be used to decide the value of the excisable articles, right. But then customer point of view, manufacturer point of view, importer point of view, depend on the available values, they may decide the price, right. Sometimes then may try to undervalue as well, no, right. Normal mechanism sometimes they try, but power with the director of excise, he can estimate the price. He can estimate the price depend on the open market value, depend on the open market value, right. Then power to estimate the sales price. If manufacturer, producer, importer sells any excisable article at the price below the open market price, if at any price below the open market value, when cause him to reduce the amount of excise duty payable by him, then Director General of Custom has the power to recalculate tax if it is article were sold at the open market value, right. If any case happen to reduce the excise duty, then due to deciding the value of the articles, then Director General has power to decide the value based on the open market value, right. Based on this value, then they can determine the excise duty, right. Then they can determine the excise duty, right. These are the things which is related with to decide the value of the excisable articles within the local business, right. Manufacturing, produce or wholesale activities, right. Now we concern how it is decided value for imports point of view, right. Right. අපි මේ දක්වා කතා කරේ දේශීය වශයෙන්, right. දේශීය වශයෙන් excise duty අය කරද්දී excise duty අය කරන්න අදාළ වන භාණ්ඩයේ කොහොමද වටිනාකම තීරණය කරන්න කියලා, right. එහෙනම් ඒ වටිනාකම තීරණය කරන්න වෙන්නේ manufacture කරපු නැත්නම් නිෂ්පාදනය කරපු තැනින් ඒ භාණ්ඩය ඉවත් කරන අවස්ථාවේ තියෙන වටිනාකම මත පදනම් වෙලා තමයි ඒ වටිනාකම තීරණය කරන්න ඕනේ, right. wholesale කරනවා නම් wholesale අවස්ථාවකදී non related party එකට sell කරනවා නම් අන්නේ price එක තමයි අපිට සලකන්න වෙන්නේ. මේ හැම අවස්ථාවකදීම open market value එක කියන එක මත පදනම් වෙලා තමයි තීරණය කරන්න ඕනේ, right. යම්කිසි අවස්ථාවක Director of Excise තීරණය කරොත් මේකේ වටිනාකම open market එකේ වටිනාකමට අනුව තීරණය කළා නැහැ කියලා ඔහුට පුළුවන්කමද ඔහුට power එක තියෙනවා open market ගේ වටිනාකම තීරණය කළා tax එක අය කරගන්න, right. Right. Now we see how it is decide the value for the importation, right. Value of the any imports article for the purpose of calculating the excise duty will be the sum of the following, right. The value of any imports article for purpose of calculating the excise duty will be sum of the following, right. What are things we should concern? First one, cost, insurance, freight value, right. Simply we can use CIF, right. We use the CIF value plus 10% of cost, insurance and freight value of the articles, right. Normally if you remember when we discuss about the VAT, right, at the point of custom at the 10% margin, right, similar applications it is related with the excise duty as well, right. At the point of custom at the 10% margin for CIF value, right. In addition to that bank and other charges and custom duty, FAL, cess, all these things we should concern and some value we should consider to calculate the excise duty, right. But it does not mention we have to add the VAT. VAT should be charged at the end after adding the excise duty, right. Right. There is a example here. on your material you can see example 1. Based on this example, we try to identify how we decide the excise duty, right. Example 1, Mr. Pereira produce a cigarette, he sell 1000 unit of packet in the wholesale market at 60 rupees, 1000 rupees per pack. He also sell cigarette in same 1000 unit packs to his brother-in-law below the market price at 50,000 per pack. Excise duty is applicable at rupees 6,000 for 1000 unit of sale cigarette. Calculate the duty payable for quarter. He sell 10 packs per month for third party and 2 packs to his brother-in-law, right. Then as a given information, right, right, 10 pack, sell it out for 60 rupees, 6,000 rupees, right. Then 2 pack, sell it out for 50,000 rupees, right. Altogether within this 1 month time, they manufactured and sell 12 packs, right. For both situation, right, for both situation, then excise duty point of view, right, then 6,000 rupees should consider when calculating the excise duty, right. Though this value is sell it out for 60 and 50, at the time of move from manufacturing, for the excise duty point of view, their price decided as 6,000, right. Right. If you concern about the calculation, right, then here 10 pack, right, that mean 10,000 cigarettes, right, then 2 packs mean 2,000 cigarette, altogether 12,000 cigarette here, right. Then for this 12,000 cigarette, for 1,000 pack, price would be 6,000, right. For every 6,000, right, if you take the total amount, then we have to into 12, right, then 72,000 here, right. For this 72,000, we should apply the ratio, right, we should apply the ratio as a present law, then we should add 3% value, 3% value, right, right, 3 times, right. Then 216,000 tax should be added for this purpose, right, for this purpose, okay. Likewise, depend on this value decided for the excise duty, it can be considered, right. Then you may think, right, then 10 packs, okay, right, they sell it out for 60,000, right, other 2 packs they sell it out for less than the 60, right. Why it is sell it out for this value? Due to relationship with him, right. Then this is sell it out for the non-related party, that is why they sell it out for low value, right. But when it is calculated for excise duty purpose, right, it does not matter whether it is sell it out for related party or not, depend on the value, right, but which is decided for the excise duty, we should apply, right. For 1,000 cigarettes, then for the excise duty purpose, value is 6,000, right, it is clearly mentioned in the questions, right. Then 12 packs we should consider here, then we can identify 72,000 for every 12 packs. Then 3 times we add the excise duty, right. Then at the okay, right. Then for this 3 months time, then we add the total application for the quarter, right. Why within this 1 year, 1 month, right, then payable value is 72,000, right. 3 months time, then 3 times can be considered, okay. Likewise it can be decided for this purpose, but it is not use actually ratio, right. For this article purpose directly mentioned about the value, right. Then for one pack 6,000 value should be considered as a excise duty, right. Then here actually you should get understand, right, whether it is sell it out for related party or non-related party, right, then excise duty may not be changed. Why? It should be decided on the open market value, right. It should be decided on the open market value, right. Therefore it's may be clear, right. Then all 12 packs, for one packs excise duty decided as a 6,000, then for the entire 12 packs we should decide 72,000 here, right, for the 1 month. Then 3 months time period we can take total 216,000 is payable for the quarter, that likewise it can be decided, right. Second one, second example here මම හිතන්නේ ඉතාලම පැහැදිලි එක්සැම්පල් එකේ අපි ඩිස්කස් කරපු දේ, right. පැක්ස් 12ක් මෙයා සෙල් කරලා තියෙනවා, right. පැක්ස් 10ක් ඕපන් මාකට් එකට විකුණනවා, පැක්ස් 2ක් එයාගේ රිලේටිව් කෙනෙක්ට දෙනවා. හැබැයි එක්සයිස් ඩියුටි කැල්කියුලේට් කරද්දී පැක් එකකට අදාළව එක්සයිස් ඩියුටියක් තමයි තීරණය කරලා තියෙන්නේ. 6000 ක් විතර තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා, right. ඒ 6000 එකට අනුව මන්ත් එකේ පැක් 12ක් මැනුෆැක්චර් කරනවා නම් ඒ සම්පූර්ණ පැක් 12ට අදාළ වැලියු එක තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා, right. ඒ ක්වාටර් එකට අදාළ තමයි පේමන්ට් එක කරන්න ඕනේ, right. ක්වාටර් එකට අදාළ පේමන්ට් එක කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ ක්වාටර් පේමන්ට් එකේදී ඒ වගේ මාස 3 මේ විදිහටම පැටර්න් එකක් කියලා තියෙනවා නම් 12 packs each for every month, right. Then we have to take the 216,000 payable for this particular quarter, right. Right. Second example, Mr. Disanayaka sell sugar mix energy drink in bulk form. 1 liter is sold at rupees 350 in open market. He has sold 150 liters during the month, right. As some quantities of liquor were reached the date of expiry, he has sold 50 liters below the market price at rupees 200 per liter. To sell them soon, excise duty is chargeable at 2% on the sale of price of the 1 liter. At the open market value, right, calculate the levy due at the end of the 1 month, right. That means they sell it out 1 liter for 350 rupees, right, for the open market value. On that price they sell it out 150 liters, but due to some issue, right, reaching with the expiry date, right, then balance 50 liters they sell it out for lesser price, right, 200 rupees per 1 liter, right. Then excise duty is chargeable at 2%, then we have to calculate the excise duty payable for 1 month end. How we deciding? Right. First point, right, then price is 350 into 150 liters, right. Then price is total value is 52,500, right. Then they can apply 2% ratio, right. Then value should be 1050, right? This is related with the first part. It has sell it out for open market value, right? Then second level, they sell it out for 200 rupees, right? Then 50 liters, right? 50 liters. Normally they received only 10,000 here, right? But they should apply for open market value, right? This is the one they should not be taken, right? They should take open market value. How it is take? 350 into 50, right? Then they have to apply 2% ratio here, right? Then value can be calculated as 350. Altogether they should pay 1400 here, right? Clear? Right? Though this value is less than the open market value, for the excise duty purpose they should take open market value for this calculation, right? There may be a reasonable cost, but for the tax purpose, right, it should be apply open market value, right? On this example also, due to expiry of the items, right, they sell it out immediately for this lesser price, but for the tax purpose this open market value should be considered here, right? මම example 2 එක පැහැදිලි ඇති, right? example 2 එකේදී පළවෙනි quantities වල payment sell කරනවා open market value එකට, no issue, right? Then 150 liters sell it out open market value, 350 open market value එක ඒකට sell කරනවා, right? හැබැයි ඊට පස්සේදී expiry date ලඟ වෙනකොට මෙයා price එක අඩු කරනවා 350 ඉඳන් 200 වලට. අඩු කළා තවත් 50 liters sell කරනවා. හැබැයි excise duty calculation එකේදී මේ අවස්ථා දෙකේදීම open market value එකට අරන් තමයි calculate කරන්න වෙන්නේ. Right? Right. I think this small two calculation here, it may be okay for you, right? Simply you can get the idea. Always we have to depend on the open market value, right? Right. Now again we move into the theoretical part here, right? This is related with the payment of excise duty, right? This is related with the payment of excise duty. Then where excisable articles has been produced or manufactured in Sri Lanka, or duty should be paid by the producer or manufacturer of the excisable articles. It is not required to paid by the purchaser, right? Manufacturer or producer should be pay the excise duty in prescribed manner after it removed from the factory or in any other place that such excisable articles were produced, right? When they manufactured on that place, right, factory or whatever the place, when it is moved from there, at that time they should pay the excise duty, right? When one calendar month from the date of each quarter in year in which removed of the goods taken place, right? Then based on the quarterly it should be pay the taxes. If any quarter, if they remove those articles from there, on this particular quarter end, within 1 month they should pay the taxes. They should pay the taxes. That is the requirement which is related with the tax payment. Right. For regarding the imports, right, if any excisable article imported to Sri Lanka, right, it is also decided at the point of importation, right? Then where the excisable article has been imported into Sri Lanka, duty should be paid by the importer. Who should be pay? Importer should be pay of such excisable article in prescribed manner after it removed from the custom warehouse, right? When it is create the liability, after they remove from the custom warehouse or any other place such excisable articles were stored. Immediately after it is imported to Sri Lanka, within one calendar month from the date of which quarter in year in which such import taken place. Right. If this quarter, if it be imported, right, after ending this quarter, right, within 1 month they should pay the taxes, right. Both applications depend on same structure. No? Sometimes locally manufactured and produced, and then they bring those articles from here, then at that time it can be decide the time, or they imported and those items bring outside from the custom warehouse, right, then it should be decide the date on which took place as imports. Likewise, then exactly we have to decide the date on which excise duty should be paid, right. Right. If any case, if any person become a default for excise duty, right, then Director General may take the recovery actions to the magistrate court, right. They would be having some sort of legal enforcement activity, right. Then finally it should be decided through the magistrate court, then take the recovery actions, right. If any person if become a defaulter for excise duty, right. Those are the things actually we discuss under this excise duty chapter, right. Then chapter round up, right. Mainly we focus about the chargeability of the excise duty for article manufactured and import to Sri Lanka, and it is clearly understand this rate is specified by the minister via issuing the Gazette notification. And second one is that there may be some articles which can be categorized as imported exempt articles, right. Those are not within the chargeability of the excise duty, right. It is also time it may be decided by the or prescribed by the minister in Gazette notification, right. Then if any person if not decided excise duty based on the open market value of the article, then Director of Excises have power to decide the open market value and charge the taxes correctly, right. Then a few questions it has include at the end, right. First one is, what is the governing status of the excise duty imposed on manufacturer and importer? What is the governing principle? Excise Duty Special Provision Act number 13 of 1989, as thereafter there may be an amendment as well. Second one is, what is the period for which excise duty is chargeable? Every quarter it should be decided, right. After ending the quarter, within 1 month they should pay the taxes. Then third one, who should provide the certificate of registration for the excise duty? Who should provide the certificate? Director of Excise should be provide the certificate, right. Likewise, then those are the few progress tests include on this sub chapter, right. With that concern, we can conclude excise duty part, then we can move into the our second part, which is related with share transaction levy, right. Right. Now we are in the second sub chapter, right, share transaction levy, right. This is also not much complex one, very simple area we have to discuss, right. Then most of you are some may aware, right. Then if you are doing with the transaction in the share market, right, when it is taken transaction is taken place, you have to pay the share transaction levy, right. Then just you have some small idea, right. Then now by using the materials and what we discuss here, right, then you can get the exact idea which is related with the share transaction levy. Right. If you concern about the learning objectives, right, we are going to discuss about applicability of share transaction levy and imposition of levy. The second one, we are going to discuss about explain the collection and payment of levy, right. Third one is focused to discuss about how and where we have to submit the return, furnish of return for the share transaction levy. The last one is focused to discuss about the recovery of recovery procedures of the levy if any person become a defaulter, right. Okay, if you concern about the imposition of levy, right, share transaction levy was imposed by the Finance Act, from the Finance Act number 5 of 2005 as amended with effective from 1st January 2005. From every buyer and seller on turnover of every share trading transaction which is conducted through the share exchange should pay the share transaction levy. TL is applicable and the buying and selling both sides should be pay the tax, right. Then some period if within one day if only one single transaction consider for taxes, but thereafter it is also amended. Right now what we have to do is we have to pay share transaction levy buying and selling both sides even if it is happen on the same day, right. Right. Then if you concern about the ratio, right, rate of chargeability of STL, right, at the beginning 1st January 2005 to but prior to 1st January 2011 rate is 0.2% out of the turnover, right. Then with effect from 1st January 2011, but prior to 1st January 2016 rate is 0.3% of turnover, right. Then again, right, then January 1st 2016 to 31st March 2016 on that particular 3 months period, right, then there was no any STL, right, share transaction levy. It was abolished, but after with effect from 1st April 2016 again it is imposed by effective with 0.3% of turnover, right. Then collection of levy, right, then actually this collection, the tax is imposed for the transaction value of the transaction, then main collect of this tax is have the responsibility with stock share brokers and stock dealers and custodial bank, right. Those three parties they have to responsibility to collect the taxes and pay to the Inland Revenue Department, right. The levy so impost will be collected by relevant stock brokers, stock dealers and custodial banks, who is responsible for settlement of such share transaction and will be paid to stock exchange through which share transaction levy transaction took place, right. Then based on this share transaction, then it will be decide the taxes, it should be settled to the main responsibility with the stock brokers and dealers as well as the custodial bank, right. Then payment to of levy, stock exchange should remit levy so collected to the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue within the 3 working days, from the date of settlement which took place by the share brokers, dealers or custodial bank, right. Who should get responsibility on that stage? Stock exchange should remit to the Commissioner General of Inland Revenue, right, within 3 days from the settlement from the share brokers, dealers and the custodial bank, right. And if you concern about the return submission, right, if you concern about the return submission, then a stock exchange should be furnished the return, right. Actually it is take as a statement on monthly basis, right, giving the total turnover in respect of which share transaction levy has been remitted to CGIR within the 15 days from the end of the each month, right. On monthly basis, they should submit the statement, right, by including the value which is took place, which is connected to the share transaction levy, right. After completing the 1 month, within 15 days from the next month, they should submit this particular statement to the department. Right, recovery process is going on. If normally this responsibility with the stock brokers, stock dealers and custodial bank. If who fail to remit the total amount of share transaction levy, collect to a stock exchange on the due date will be considered as a defaulter, right. This defaulter will be the chairman of the board of directors and every directors or principal officers if it is body of corporation, right. Defaulter will be liable to pay the surcharge in addition to the default levy, right. The surcharge will be calculated 10% of the default amount for the first month, right. Then thereafter further delay, right, 2% added for every subsequent month. Likewise, then there would be a adding the surcharge as well, right. Surcharge will be collected by the CGIR. CGIR will take actions to recover share transaction levy and surcharge will have been in default for the period of more than 3 months time, then recovery actions would be taken, right. Then first CGIR will issue the notice to the defaulter 3 weeks before intended to take the recovery actions, right. Then thereafter actually take the recovery actions, right. Then if they are not paid that one, right, then take taxes as well as surcharge would be added as a default value, right. If tax in default still remain after issuing the notice, also still remain unpaid after 3 weeks time, right, then CGIR will then issue a certificate to magistrate have jurisdictions over the divisions in which defaulter reside or his business is being carried on. Contain the name and address of the defaulter and total sum in default along with the statement start that person's name has been defaulted payment, right. By including those informations, right, then address, name and default value, right, those including, then certificate provide to the magistrate court, right. Depend on this certificate, the magistrate will then issue the summon on defaulter to appear before him and specify date and so on cause reasons for default of the levy and surcharge accrued, right. Then thereafter magistrate take the legal proceeding, right, then fix the date, then hearing is taken place and take the reason why they are not paid, right, what is the reason for become a default, right. If the reasons provided by the defaulter do not amount to be sufficient, right, then magistrate will issue the order to recover the amount in default and surcharge as it is fine imposed by the magistrate, right. The amount so recovered will be remitted to the Commissioner General. Likewise, this process is going on if any tax and surcharge become a default, right. Firstly issue the notice, within the notice if this party is not comply with that, then certificate issued to the magistrate court, right, by including the details, then magistrate court taking the take the actions to recover, right. Then firstly try to hear and try to get the some reason behind this. If there is no proper reason, valid reason, then take the actions for recoveries, right. Likewise, step by step basis it would be happen if it is become a defaulter, right. For this purpose, then better you would have some sort of identification regarding the stockbroker, stock dealer and custodial bank, right. Then normally those definition is included on this relevant legislation documents, right. Then here it has included on your materials, study materials as well, right. Stockbroker mean any individual or body of corporate engaged in business of buying and selling of the securities on behalf of the investors in the return of commission, right. Their normal business is buying and selling, right, just buying and selling on behalf of the investor, ultimately they receive the commission, right. Stock dealer mean any individual or body of corporation engaged in business of buying and selling of securities or in dealing or jobbing or trading of securities or underwriting or retailing the securities, right. They are engaged with other activities like retail trading as well, right. Custodial bank means any bank licensed by the central bank provide the custodial service in respect of share transaction, right. Those are the definition which is related with this three parties: stockbrokers, stock dealers and the custodial bank, right. These are the things actually we discuss on the second topic, right. Then chapter round up, then SLT should be paid by the buyer and seller on the transaction taken place, right. Every transaction they should pay the share transaction levy, right. Then share exchange should be remit levy to the Commission General and they should submit the return as well on monthly basis, right. Then if any person become a defaulter, then CGI have a power to take the recovery actions through the magistrate court. Those are the main point which is identified on this chapter, right. At the end they should have some sort of three questions, just we run through that. What is the statutory governing impositions, payment and recoveries of the STL, right. Mainly governing legislation is Finance Act number 5 of 2005 and respective amendments, right. Then second question focus, what is the present STL chargeable rate on the turnover, right. 0.3% of the turnover is a present rate application. What is the penalty rate of the STL on the default payment by the defaulter, right. Then what is the surcharge? Surcharge at if any the default on the first month at the 10% out of the default amount, if further default, right, then every month at the 2% for the default value, penalty value, right. Those are the things actually we discuss here under the share transaction levy, right. Then third one we focus about tourism development levy, TDL, right, tourism development levy, right. This is actually focus for regarding the tourist industry, right. Then firstly we concern about the learning outcome, then we move into the detailed discussion here, right. Then learning objective, applicability of tourism development levy and impositions of levy. Then second one of a period of levy, third one is example of tax payable scenario, method of payment of levy. Those are the learning objective under this tourism development levy, right. Then firstly we concern about the imposition side, right. Tourism development levy was first introduced under the Finance Act number 24 of 2003. TDL is applicable on turn of every institution licensed under the Tourism Development Act number 14 of 1968 and licensed under the Tourism Act number 38 of 2005. Then TDL first come in effect from 1st September 2003. The aim, what is the purpose? Aim of the imposition, this levy is collected sum from tourist related institution for what purpose? For development of the tourism. For that purpose actually collect the taxes. This collection is used for that purpose, right. If you concern about the applicable institution, right, mainly we can identify 3 institutions. One is tourist hotel, tourist hotel accommodations unit, guest house, restaurant, water sport and recreations and entertainment facilities. The second one for the travel agent, then third one for tourist shop, right. Those are the 3 main institutions it can be considered for TDL application. Then there may be some exclusion as well from the chargeability, right. For regarding the commission income carried on the sale of airlines ticket from travel agent, including the general sales agent license under the Tourist Development Act number 14 of 1968 and Tourist Act number 38 of 2005 has been excluded from the chargeability of TDL. But normally this activities also belongs to the tourism related, but especially it was excluded when it is calculating the TDL. Right. Then if you concern about the registration point of view, right, then every institution should apply to the Ceylon Tourist Board and obtain Tourist Development Levy registration number, right. Firstly they should apply from where to where? Ceylon Tourist Board, and they should get the registration number, right, Tourist Development Levy registration number. The number should be quoted in respect of all the remitters of the TDL, right. This is a reference number like a taxpayer identification number, right. Then for that purpose, then this number should be used for to make the payment as well, right. Then if you concern about the period of tax payment, right, then levy is payable for every quarter on the estimated basis. That is like different applications, right. And quarter wise it should be estimated, right. After completing the whole financial year, then they can make the adjustment, plus minus adjustment depending on their finalized finance set, right. Then levy is payable for every quarter on estimated basis, right. Then and payable before end of the next quarter, right. When they should settle is before ending the next quarter, right. Right. Then if you concern about the rate is applicable here, we just discussed at the very beginning how it is changed, right. Then with effect from 1st September 2003, then 1% rate is applicable for every transaction, right. There is no threshold limit and all that. Then with effect from 2013 April to 31st December 2018, then turnover is less than 12 million, right, or quarterly turnover is less than 3 million, there is no any chargeability. If turnover is more than 12 million for quarter for annum and 3 million for quarter, then at the 1% ratio out of the turnover, right. Again there is a change with effect from 1st January 2019. Then annual turnover is less than 12 million and quarterly turnover is less than 3 million, then pay 0.5% turnover, right. If a turnover is exceeding 12 million for annum and 3 million for quarter, they should pay 1% of the turnover as a TDL, right. This is the present application now. If you consider the present application, if annual turnover is less than 12 million and quarterly turnover less than 3 million, then they should pay 0.5% on the turnover, right. And annual turnover is more than 12 million quarterly turnover is more than 3 million, right, they should pay 1% of turnover as a TDL, right. Right, we can discuss with example. Before that I just small briefing in the Sinhala, right. අපි පැහැදිලි tourist transaction levy tourist development levy එක pay කරන්න නම් ඒ industry එකේ ඉන්න අය register වෙන්න ඕන. ප්‍රධාන අවශ්‍ය අපි දන්නවා hotel tourist agent ලා ඒ අය register වෙන්න අවශ්‍යයි, right. ඒ registration එක මත යාට issue වෙන number එකක්, ඒ number එකට තමයි tax payment කරන්න ඕන, right. එහෙනම් tax payment කරන්න වෙන්නේ එයාට quarterly එයාගේ estimate අගයක් පදනම් කරගෙන සමහර ආයතන management accounts හදන වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒව පදනම් කරගෙන එයාට payment එක කරන්න පුළුවන්, right. ඊට පස්සේ EA එක ඉවරනයින් පස්සේ financial accounts finalize කරාම ඒ අගය මත අර එයා දීපු estimate value එක වෙනස්කම් තියෙනවා නම් adjustment එකක් කරලා ඒක වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්, plus or minus adjustment එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන්කම තියෙනවා. rate එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගත්තම rate එක කාලේ 2003 ඉඳන් වෙනස් වෙලා තියෙනවා. වර්තමානයේ ගත්තම වර්තමානයේ වර්ෂයකට මිලියන 12ට වඩා අඩු නම් එයාගේ වාර්ෂික ටර්නෝවර් එක, ක්වාටර් එක මිලියන 3ට වඩා අඩු නම් 0.5% තමයි රේට් එකක් විදිහට අය කරන්න ඕනේ ටර්නෝවර් එකේ, right. annual ටර්නෝවර් එක මිලියන 3ට වඩා වැඩි නම් සහ ක්වාටර්ලි ටර්නෝවර් එක මිලියන 3ට වඩා වැඩි නම් 1% රේට් එකක් අය කරන්න ඕනේ TDL එකක් විදියට, right. ඔය දේවල් ටික තමයි සමරියක් විදියට අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ දක්වා ඩිස්කස් කරපු දේ, right. අපි බලමු example 1. Example 1, Mr. Disanayaka maintain a hotel. A hotel derive following source of income and also service fee of 10% and VAT at 8%. On all the sources of income are income to arrive at the gross turnover. Calculation of TDL liability for quarter, right. Depending on these applications, we should calculate the TDL, right. There would be a room services, food sales, bar sales, other sales. Altogether, total turnover is 5,000. Okay. Then, in addition to that, add the service charge 10% out of this total turnover, right. In addition to that, add that 8% total turnover plus service charge, right. Thereafter, total gross turnover would be 5,940, 5,940, right. Then, when you calculate in the TDL, right, you should not be included 10% service charge and VAT. You should calculate TDL depend on the total turnover other than 10% service charge and VAT, right. If you take the value less service charge and VAT, 5,000 into 1%, then 50 should add as a TDL, right. Right, this is the simple calculations we can decide, right. Then method of payment of levy, right. Method of payment of levy. The levy should be remit every quarter before end of the next quarter, right. If you concern about this quarter, after end, right, they should calculate before end of the next quarter, they should make the payment, right. How they calculate depend on the estimate, right. They can use the present details and all that. Sometimes some hotel and all they prepare the management account, then they can based on this. If they not prepare, right, just get the rough value and they should pay the taxes. To whom? To Director General of Ceylon Tourist Board, they should make the payment together with statement setting out the details of the remittance. There should be a support in how it is arise, right. This support is also should be there. Every institution within 90 days of the financial year end should further submit the audited statement of annual accounts together with reconciliations statement of actual amount due on TDL to Director General of Tourist Board with adjustment to the quarterly return submitted, right. After ending the financial year, within 3 months they should finalize the accounts, right. They should submit, right. They should submit this account with the reconciliation, right. On this reconciliation submission, if there is any adjustment which is related with the return already submitted, they should submit with the adjustment, right. Since quarterly payments are made on the estimate basis, any adjustment of under or overpayment with actual liability should be made or refund claim respective from the Director General of Tourist Ceylon Tourist Board. No institution is entitled to set off any overpayment TDL with the future payment, right. That means any overpayment, right, separately they should take the refund, that is separately finalized, but by referring with that overpayment, they should not pay the future one, they should pay separately the future one, right. Separately they should take the whatever the excess amount, right. It is clearly mentioned, right. Then there should not be a set off again the excess amount of the previous period with the present payment, right. Then there is a definition for the turnover, right. Then for the, I think you may also have the experience, right, for different tax calculations there may be a different definition, right. On TDL requirement also there is a separate definition for the turnover. Sometimes it is defined for tourist hotel point of view, it is defined for tourist agent point of view, and it is defined for tourist shops, right. Then those are the main 3 areas should pay the TDL, right. Then tourist hotel mean amount received or receivable from total sale excluding service charge up to 10% of such sales and value-added tax charge on such sale in terms of Value-Added Act number 14 of 2002 as amended, right. For regarding the hotel, right, we already prepare the examples as well, right. Whatever the amount received or receivable, we can exclude service charge up to 10%. Sometimes if any institution, if they added more than that, right, they can only exclude up to 10%, and VAT component we can exclude. Then depend on balance part we should apply the TDL. Then if you concern about the travel agent, right, travel agent means the total receipt from the service provided in relations to the tourist industry, excluding the payment made by him in respect of service provided to him by other local service providers and value-added tax charge on such services in terms of the Value-Added Act number 14 of 2002, right. When for regarding the travel agent, right, whatever the amount receivable or received, right, for regarding their services, they can deduct whatever the service taken from the other party, and VAT component they can exclude. Then depend on the balance part they should pay the TDL, right. Then third one related with the tourist shop, right. Whatever the amount received or receivable from total sales of the products, right, from any such shop excluding the value-added tax, right, charge based on the number 14 of 2002, right. Then likewise we can decide the turnover, right. Then legislation properly mention how we decide the turnover which is liable for hotel, how we decide the turnover which is liable for travel agent, how we decide the turnover which is liable for travel shop, right. Likewise we can decide, right. Every places, right, some items we can exclude it. For every places, if VAT is relevant, VAT should be excluded, right. Then likewise then you have to remember how we decide the turnover. Right. Then right. Then chapter roundup, we point out on three main point. TDL is imposed on the person engaged in tourist related activities. To whom? To tourist related activities. Levy is imposed for the purpose of developing the tourist industry, right. They collecting the levy, right. Those levy is used for that development process for regarding the tourism industry. Levy came into with effect from 1st September 2003. Second point is every such person should be registered, right. There should be a registered number. It was issued by the Ceylon Tourist Board, right. For thereafter, for any remittance purpose, this registration number should be used. Registration number should be used. Third one, the levy is payable for every quarter on an estimate basis before end of the next quarter, right. And further, we can note that, right, after completing the finance year, then we decide, then this particular institution should be finalize their financial accounts within 90 days from the end of the year of assessment, right. They should submit this finalized finance document to the Ceylon Tourist Board, right. Then there should be a reconciliation with the return submitted on quarterly basis, right. If there is any adjustment is required, plus minus adjustment, they should do. And further, due to adjustment, if there is any excess payment, they should not be set off with the future tax payment. Separately, they should manage that one, right. Whatever the excess should be taken from the Ceylon Tourist Board, right. Those are the main points highlighted on under the chapter roundup, right. Then if you concern about the question, few questions list out the few liable persons from the chargeability of the TDL, right. Mainly we can identify the three institution. One is a hotel, right. Hotel including the guest house, that restaurant, then other hotel, right, many things, right. Then travel agent and tourist shop, right. Those three institution is mainly chargeable with the TDL. The second question, what are the threshold of liable for TDL? What is the threshold, right. Then we discuss threshold applications or rate application at the beginning, right. Then mainly if you concern about the present application, right, it was effect from 1st January 2019, right. Then annual turnover is less than 12 million, or quarterly turnover is less than 3 million, then 0.5% out of the turnover calculates as a TDL, right. Then if turnover is more than 12 million per annum, right, more than 12 million per annum, and more than 3 million per quarter, right, 1% turnover should be taken as a TDL, right. Likewise, then it can be calculated, but it is applicable with effect from 1st January 2019. Before that, right, if turnover is less than 12 million per annum and 3 million per quarter, there is no chargeability, right. Only chargeability with the annual turnover is more than 12 million and more than 3 million for quarter, 1% tax is applicable, right. Last one, what would be the excluded from the total turnover when calculating the TDL, right. Then actually it can be considered for three areas, right. If you concern about the hotel, right, they can exclude 10% service charge and VAT, right? Those two they can exclude. Then if you concern about the travel agent, they can exclude VAT component and whatever the payment made for the other service provider, right? Then if you concern about the tourist shop, they can exclude VAT component. Likewise, they can decide the turnover which is liable for TDL, right? Likewise, we can consider how liable turnover would be decided, right? With that new add-in chapter, right, we mainly discuss about the three other taxes, right? Then one we discuss about the excise duty, right? Here one part is excise duty, right? Then second one related with the share transaction levy, third one related with the tourist development levy, right? And these are the three areas we actually discuss here, right? Then excise duty depend on the excise duty act, special provisions act, right? It is applicable, right? Then depend on the ratio gazetted by the minister, it should be decided. Then based on manufacturing and producing and imports point of view, it should be calculated, right? Then if it is related with some excisable article, it should be decided, right? Then depend on the minister gazette, sometimes it may be a exempted article, right? If not so, all the cases is liable based on the open market value, based on the open market value, right? It should be decided, right? Then if there is any default amount, right, through the magistrate, right, they can take the recovery actions, right? Then add in with some surcharge as well. Then if you concern about the tourist share transaction levy, right, it may be related to the stock brokers, stock dealers and custodial bank, right? Those are the parties really having the responsibility. But normally depend on the transaction, exchange share exchange should be submit the return monthly basis, right? Then the share exchange should be collect those tax from the stock brokers, stock dealers and custodial bank. Then those taxes should be remit within 3 days to the Department of Inland Revenue, right? Monthly basis they should submit the return and they should make the payment. If there is any default one, then department should issue the notice to the share brokers or dealers as well as the custodial bank. Even after issuing the notice, if they not settle the taxes, then there is a issue with that, right? Then taking the recovery actions, then adding the surcharge, first month 10% and subsequent month 2%, likewise surcharge would be added, right? Then recovery actions taken through the magistrate court, then if do the trial and if there is a reasonable cost from the on their side, then give some concession, or if not so, taking the actions. The last one we focused about the tourism industry. To develop the tourist industry, then from activities which is involved collecting the taxes, TDL, right? Then it is applicable for hotel, then tourist agent and tourist shop, right? Depend on their turnover, it has calculated the taxes. Then mainly they should submit return based on the quarter, right? Quarterly they should submit depend on their estimated value, right? At the end of the period they should submit their finalized financial statement, right? Then they have to provide the reconciliation, right? With that reconciliation they can decide if adjustment is required, plus minus adjustment, right? Then depend on the turnover, right? If turnover, annual turnover is 12 million or less value, right? Then quarterly turnover 3 billion or less value, right? Then add in the 0.5% ratio at present rate with effect from 1st January 2019. If other way, right? If more than 12 million for annual turnover or 3 million quarterly turnover, then 1% tax should be calculated. On this point, they should depend on the turnover, right? Then differently we discuss how turnover would be decided. For the hotel, they can exclude 10% service charge and they can exclude the VAT component. For the travel agent, they can exclude the VAT component and any payment made to the other service provider. For regarding the traveling shops, they can exclude the VAT component. Likewise, we can discuss, we can get idea how those taxes is applicable, right? I think you can get the comprehensive idea by referring with this video and materials what you receive to you. With that concern, you can cover the 10 marks weighted area, then future, right? Then your exams may be created some small MCQ questions focus on this area, right? With that concern, we conclude today's sessions, right? Again, we can meet with another sessions. Thank you.